What is good, guys? It's your boy Gamers Goon here today with the fourth edition of the Gutcheck podcast. Today I've got some news. Yes, that's right, man. I got some news on a possible debut of sorts at Monday Night Raw. I got some news on an NXT debut from the recent tapings. And who did he fight? I got Eric Bischoff and Stone Cold talking about the controversy that was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And we have some news on Daniel Bryan's possible in-ring return opponent. A little teaser was given out from Daniel Bryan himself, saying that he might want to go after being in the ROH, Ring of Honor, that is. So, this is your Gut Check podcast. We also got news on Mauro Ranallo, by the way, which is big news here. I'm going to say that for the last, though. So, it's been rumored that LeVar Ball might be appearing on Monday Night Raw this upcoming Monday in Los Angeles on the June 26th episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, I sent Titus O'Neil a tweet, and I said, "Hey, Titus O'Neil, how about the Titus brand versus the Big Baller brand?" And he liked it, so I think that might actually be a little spoiler there for a minute. But from Pro Wrestling Sheets here, I have this pulled up. Pro Wrestling Sheets has learned WWE wants LeVar Ball to appear on Monday Night Raw next week in Los Angeles. And it sounds like he was talking about it during his recent live stream. So what they're referring to here is his son, Lonzo Ball, who LeVar Ball has been trying to put over for a long time now, that went second overall to the Lakers. He was doing a live stream of his reaction of being drafted, so they overcaught them talking about Monday Night Raw, and the whole Ball family, I know, is definitely not wrestling fans, because LaMelo was like, "Oh, Monday Night SmackDown" or something, and it was so cringy to watch them talk about it. But apparently LeVar Ball might be showing up on Raw. Sources tell us that the two sides have been in talks to make it happen, and things are looking good. However, as is always the case with creative plans, they could change at the drop of a dime. That is true. Remember, Rusev wasn't supposed to be there at one point, and then they tried to call him up. He couldn't make it to interfere in the Mahal match. So they always change their mind. You get your plans going, and then they try to call you last minute for a last minute change. I don't think that would be the case. I think LeVar Ball will be scheduled to have a feud here with the Titus brand. A keen Reddit user watched Lonzo Ball's live stream during the NBA draft and overheard what sounded like LeVar Ball discussing the possibility of appearing on Raw shortly after his son was being drafted. It's hard to make out everything being said in the video, but LeVar Ball seems interested. The only thing it seems to me is a publicity stunt. I know he's not a wrestling fan because they didn't even know what day SmackDown was on. They thought it was still on Thursdays, then he thought it was on Mondays. So it's not really a benefit to, I mean, if they promote it, that LeVar Ball will be there, people are going to tune in just to see LeVar Ball. It'll boost ratings a little bit, but I don't think LeVar Ball really is a wrestling fan or anything of that sort. I mean, they might be in the crowd. We might have a special moment where he comes out and interrupts Titus O'Neil. We'll have to wait until Monday to find out if the appearance goes down, but the Titus brand interacting with the Big Baller brand would seem to make the most sense. So as I said, I didn't even read this when I first saw it on Twitter, and it said LeVar Ball might be coming to the WWE for a Monday Night Raw show, and I didn't even click into the link yet, and I tweeted Titus. It seems like you want a Titus brand, Big Baller brand, right? I mean, it would be a perfect feud for Titus to get put over. So, next in the news today, we have a Ring of Honor star making an appearance at the recent NXT tapings. He had a match against Aleister Black. That our Ring of Honor star was Bobby Fish. There's reports that people saw him entering Full Sail earlier in the day, And of course, Bobby Fish did show up on the tapings. The only thing is, his tag partner Kyle O'Reilly was not found, or wasn't in the arena to at least be found. Hopefully in the future, Redragon can reunite as a tag team, because I think it'd be a whole lot more interesting to see that, because really right now there's only 2 teams in the tag team division in NXT, and even up on Raw they're getting a little low on tag teams. But on NXT right now they got AOP and Heavy Machinery, and on Raw, which is probably the area that they would go to, they got the Revival. I'm gonna assume Big Show and Enzo are gonna team up. Who else we got? Shamaro. I mean, Hardys aren't gonna be there, and Heath Slater and Rhino. That's really it. So it'd be really cool if we get to see Kyle O'Reilly potentially come into the WWE at some point before Bobby Fish gets called up to the main roster. But next, we have some news on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, or as some people refer to him now, the Ring of Honor champion. Cody Rhodes in Friday night's pay-per-view, which at the time of me recording this was last night, Best in the World, he had a match against Christopher Daniels, who it took him 15 years to achieve Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship gold. So Cody Rhodes ended up beating Christopher Daniels at the pay-per-view on Friday, which led to Daniel Bryan taking to Twitter. Daniel Bryan tweeted Cody Rhodes congratulating him. He said something about 426 days, and I might have to come over there and beat you for that title in 2019, because his contract ends in 2018. So it's going to be interesting to see if Daniel Bryan ever makes an in-ring return, and if he does, that is going to be huge over there in New Japan and Ring of Honor, and any promotion that could get Daniel Bryan on their brand. Next, we got the Money in the Bank controversy. It might be good, it might be bad. Let's figure out what one of the wrestling legends, when it comes to booking, I mean, not a lot of people like him. Can't deny he was a major part back in the day. Eric Bischoff, on his recent podcast, Eric Bischoff gave his thoughts on WWE doing a rematch for the Money in the Bank women's briefcase. He said, "I think it's a bad move. It's a mistake I've made in the past. Sometimes you learn from your mistakes. At least sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. When you build up to a big event on a pay-per-view, and you build up the stakes, and you build up the expectation, and you basically deliver that screw-over finish, and then have a rematch on free TV, it diminishes the long-term expectation of the future big event matches on pay-per-views. When that happens, I think it's a really bad idea. By the way, I've done it, and the results were always negative." So that's coming from a guy that has quite a bit of experience when it comes to booking screw-over finishes. So you might want to take that into consideration next time, WWE. I mean, sure, James Ellsworth gets heel heat. Sure, but they should have had a moment where, you know what, Carmella pulls Ellsworth off and is like, you know what, I want to do this on my own. I mean, he could have interfered, and I would have been fine with it as long as he didn't grab the briefcase. And then we have Stone Cold here, speaking about the mistakes they've made on it too. Stone Cold, on his recent podcast, Austin talked about the controversial finish to the first ever Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. As far as needing a story to carry on to the next week, you got the story. But was it taken? Where did the heat go? First of all, Carmella made a great catch when Ellsworth dropped the briefcase. She made a great catch. But when the kids started climbing up there, with all due respect to Ellsworth, I mean, he's doing what he was told. I thought one of the women was going to push the ladder, and extend the match, and maybe he's gonna split the top rope with some kind of or just take a bump, nothing less, or something safe where he's eliminated from the contest and he's not the one grabbing the briefcase. That kid grabs the briefcase and Carmella allegedly wins, and I was like, they were trying to be some epic first Money in the Bank match, and some guy climbs the ladder to win it. I mean, what if the Money in the Bank match with the guys, and one of the guys had a female valet that during the match course climbed up the ladder and drops the briefcase down to the guy? You would never see that today. You've never seen that, actually. You'll never see anything close to that. All of a sudden, for this to happen in that match, it really rubbed me in the wrong way. I just thought there was a better way to finish, and I thought one of the women should have the opportunity to earn it by climbing. I couldn't have said it better. Stone Cold, right there, delivering the cold facts. There was definitely a better way to finish it. You could have had Ellsworth screw him over, and you could have had Carmella go up there and get the moment herself. I don't mind anything to do with the heel factor. It's just they wanted that story, and I think they didn't even want the story. I honestly think they were actually going to let Carmella run with it until they got all the backlash onto that. So they're going to end up giving it back to Carmella, in my personal opinion. It would make the most sense since that was their original plan. I don't see them going away from it. The only way that I can see them going away from it is, you know what, we need to get that nasty taste out of our fans' mouths and give them what they want and give them a baby face, but I really hope they stick with their guns and eventually have Carmella cash in on Naomi. And boy, oh boy, yesterday was a big day, especially in the news category. We got the Bobby Fish coming out. We got Cody Rhodes winning. And best of all, Mauro Ranallo put out on Instagram that he was going to return to the WWE in an NXT role. Basically what happened here is I assume Triple H was realizing that since Bellator MMA offered Ranallo and he accepted to do the McGregor-Mayweather fight, I believe here that they really were like, Triple H was like, why do we let this guy go? Why do we let Mauro Ranallo go? Mauro Ranallo is one of those guys that, I mean, sure, he doesn't do it the normal way that Vince always wants us to do it, but he's one of those guys that sticks out. You know who he is. He makes smart statements, and he comes up with things on the fly that make sense. He's a really good broadcaster. He was on the NXT tapings last night in Full Sail, as people reported. He came out with Triple H, and Triple H rose his hand. So we get to see Mauro Ranallo back as the lead commentary guy on NXT television, along with Nigel McGuinness. What a duo. So Tom Phillips, you're going back up to Maine. And thank you guys for watching this edition of the Gutcheck podcast. It's been your boy Gamers Goon. I'm out.